Hello everyone, Beastie here. I am back with another video. Today I'll be showing you the top 10 Protoss Cheeses that you can do in Legacy of the Void. So we'll be covering all three matchups: Protoss versus Terran, Protoss versus Protoss, and Protoss versus Zerg. The cheeses are on one base. You're supposed to kill your opponent off of this. The cheeses involve cannon rushing, Dark Templar rushing, core gating, some shield battery rushing. There's something for everyone. These are the builds that I love doing when I play ladder myself, and I hope you guys enjoy them as well. At the end of this video, you can also check the description of the video where you'll see the link for each of the build orders, each of the games that I've played, so you can kind of get a grasp and take a little, better look into how the builds should be executed and to check the exact timings. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get into it. The first matchup we'll be looking at is Protoss versus Terran. I know Protosses love playing against Terrans, so why not just take a look how to cheese them even better as well. So the first game we'll be covering, the first build we'll be covering is on Kairos Junction. It is the Proxy Stargate build. So the way this video will work, by the way, this will not be a full-on guide. I'll just kind of walk you through what you're supposed to do with the build, and again, you can check out in the replay after every timing and how I react to certain things, so you can have an example of how to execute it properly. So the build starts pretty much, normal. You're going to get your gateway, get the double gas, make sure to send your probe pretty early across the map in order to proxy the pylon and proxy the Stargate. And what you can also do is make a Zealot and Adept, or just an Adept, chrono boosted, send it across the map. You want to try to delay that Terran command center a little bit. By the time your Void Ray arrives, you can already start harassing with the first one, and you'll see that I'm not adding any other gateways. It's just one gate, Proxy Stargate. You're continuously going to chrono boost Void Rays, and you will support your Void Ray push with some shield batteries, and you're basically just constantly trying to trade with Terran. Make sure to fight in the range of shield batteries, and you'll be good to go. Second game we're looking at is the double proxy robotics facilities into Immortals and War Prism. Whenever you're doing cheese against Terran or in PvP, always try to take the second opponent's gas, because if they don't have gas and you're doing these heavy tech builds, they will not be able to defend, because they will not have those tech units that they need to, like siege tanks or Vikings, Cyclones, or whatever else. So now you'll see the same thing happening again. On the beginning, I get an Adept really fast with double gas. I chrono boost my first Adept. You try to get it across the map and just kind of harass the Terran a little bit. Maybe try to delay that command center. And again, you want to make sure you have the probe on the map to proxy the two robos. Don't proxy them too close to your opponent, but with this build, even if they scouted, it's not really a big deal. Proxy the two robos. Start by making Immortal and the War Prism. Try to use all your chrono boost energy on the robos from then on out. Make sure to have one Adept back at home as well. So one across the map, one back at home, so that if the Reaper goes across the map, he doesn't kill your probes. Once you get the first Immortal and the Prism, you want to start harassing your opponent already. Again, just like the Void Rays, try to engage as early as you possibly can and start picking off units, because at that point you will have the higher tech unit. After that, get an Observer in case there's Widow Mines or just want to get a better look at their base. And once again, just like with the Void Ray build that I just showed you, I'm making some shield batteries for whatever minerals you have left over, to kind of allow your Immortals to be much tankier and survive much longer. Game 3 of this video, and this is the last Protoss versus Terran cheese I'll be showing you guys. This is the Proxy Gateway push. This is a very strong build. This is also used a lot in pro play as well. Basically, you want to start, like the last two builds, Gateway and Cybercore in your main base with that double gas. Get a Zealot out, slowly send it across the map. What you want to be doing with that first Zealot is make sure the Terran doesn't go and harass your base. So even if the Zealot dies to the Reaper, it's not a big deal. You will force your opponent to micro against the Zealot and lose a lot of valuable time. Meanwhile, the very important thing about this build is the exact time when you're doing that proxy gateway. And if you do it well, just like in the game that you guys are seeing, your Stalker from the Proxy Gateway will arrive very quickly. You'll be able to deny that command center, either force the Terran to overcommit into defending it, or you can just delay it for as long as you can, and he has to eventually cancel the command center. Now, you'll see me go up the ramp, try to kill a bunch of SCVs, try to kill a lot of Marines, because the push and the Stalkers arrive so quickly into their base. Now, the transition for this can either be 4 gates straight up and just try to kill the Terran, or you can go into Immortal for like Proxy Robo Immortal. You can expand, you can go into Proxy Void Rays. That's up to you. I usually make a decision based on how the game went so far, so if you end up killing a bunch of Marines and SCVs and he doesn't have a bunker, you can just go 4 gate and just, you know, finish the game straight then. But if he has siege tanks or something like that, maybe you want to get some Void Rays out in order to help you with that. Now let's look at some of the games in Protoss versus Zerg. Now, the first game of Protoss versus Zerg Cheeses. The first one that I'll be showing you will not be Cannon Rush. It will actually be one of the builds that's very rarely used, which I'm not sure why. I think it's really good. All these games, by the way, that I'm showing you are against Master 2, Master 1, or Grandmaster players. So, you know, I always say if this works in high leagues, it should work in any league. So, the build will start off with double gateway. You're going to grab those 2 extra gases once again. And the goal of this build initially is to try and put as much pressure as you can. So start by chrono boosting your double gateway, get those 2 adepts across the map, and you want to shade in the opponent's base, try to kill as many drones as you can, and hopefully also shade out of there and not lose any units. What you want to do with this build is force your Zerg opponent to make as many units as possible early on. So kind of you want them to overcommit to the first 2 adepts, and then you will follow it up with an even bigger and better push, which he won't be able to defend because he doesn't have enough economy. Now, the build will transition into 5 gateways with Adept Glaives, Twilight Council, and Dark Shrine as well. So your main army composition will just be mass adepts, and you want to be shading back and forth and trying to pick off units, drones, whatever you can. And you follow it up with Dark Shrine because you have that extra gas, so you're kind of just having another threat to the Zerg. And if you see that there's no detection as you're shading back and forth, there's no spores, there probably won't be any lair. You can just warp in a couple of DTs and finish the game. This is a build that requires a little bit of micro with shading back and forth, but I love using it and I think it's a lot of fun, so give it a go. Now the second Protoss vs Zerg Cheese and our 5th game for today is the infamous strategy that a lot of Zergs hate quite a bit. This is something we've seen a lot in tournaments as well. This is the Cannon Rush into fast proxy robotics facility, immortals, cannons, shield batteries, and everything else. You're basically throwing everything at the Zerg and trying to kill them. So the game starts with actually a gateway. You want to be scouting across the moment you place down the gateway, go with your probe across the map, and then you will start your forge. And what you want to do is cannon rush the Zerg with as least amount of cannons as you possibly can, because you want to get that gas right after. You want to get that cyber core, and once the Zerg either loses the natural hatchery or cancels it, you want to start your robotics facility right in the natural of the Zerg player. Start chrono boosting immortals from then on out. My suggestion is once you get the first immortal, either get a war prism or the second immortal. I prefer the war prism because it allows you to micro your units, throw down a bunch of shield batteries, and start your little micro war against the Zerg. Now, you're supposed to finish off the Zerg when he is on one base. You're in one base, you're supposed to kill him. One thing to be very careful of is just Zerg storming down the ramp. So try to position your cannons and shield batteries well enough so your immortals can kite, move away. Make sure you have your war prism micro on point. And the last thing you need to be worried about is the Nidus Warp. So every once in a while, if you go into the main base of Zerg with your war prism and you see a layer already done, just be very aware that the Nidus might be coming, so be ready to recall 1 or 2 of your immortals and try to defend that. Overall, it's a very fun build and very good, so give it a go. our sixth game of the day and our third cheese in Protoss vs Zerg will be also Cannon Rush, surprisingly, or maybe not. But this time we'll be transitioning into gateways and trying to finish off the Zerg with Stalkers combined with shield batteries. Now, the difference between this one and the last one, we're actually opening with Forge first, so we're not doing the gateway in the main base. And we're doing a really fast cannon rush, trying to make the Zerg cancel a natural hatchery. You want to throw down 2 gateways behind the cannons, throw down the cyber core back at your base, obviously get a gas, but just one. You actually don't need 2. In order to constantly produce stalkers out of the 2 gateways, you only need 1 gas, and from then on out, just chrono boost your stalkers constantly, get a lot of shield batteries, make a couple of more cannons, and you just want to kind of push into the Zerg's base and slowly trade away until the Zerg gives up. Make sure to not lose your stalkers, just like with the last one. You can't afford to lose units. That's why I have shield batteries to help you out. And don't overextend, because if you do, you will get surrounded by the Zerglings. Now, the next 4 games will be the PvP cheeses, because there's quite a lot of them, and I had a hard time picking just 4. Let's get into it. So let's dive into the PvPs. Now, the first game we're having straight off the bat is something if you're a Protoss, you've experienced this many times. This is the Protoss vs Protoss cannon rushing. This is a build and playstyle that's been around since Wings of Liberty, so you guys should be no strangers to it. Basically, you want to get a forge in your main base as fast as you can, send the probe across the map, and there's always a spot, no matter what map you're playing, where you can position your pylons, you can position cannons, and your goal is to just cannon rush your opponent to death. In a perfect game, you don't want to be transitioned to gateways. Sometimes you might have to into gateways and you know, cyber core and other tech, but you want to be killing your opponent with the cannon rush and making sure those cannons reach his nexus. Now, not only this game, but all the other games before that involve some kind of cannon rushing. My suggestion is, if you need more examples of how to do this, I have a series on YouTube called Cannon Rushing to Grandmaster. Actually, 2 of them, two seasons, I guess, where I cannon rush opponents exclusively in all 3 matchups. So if you want to learn how to cannon rush better on specific maps or specific situations, check out that series. But yeah, cannon rushing. Everyone loves to do it, and everyone hates to play against it. Into the next one. The second build I'll be showing you guys in PvP, the cheese, is the good old Dark Templar rush. This is still a very common strategy in PvP. My advice is always try to proxy your Twilight and your Dire Shrine. Just put it somewhere randomly on the map so that Hallucinate Phoenix or the opponent can't scout you in any way, even if they get to your base with like an Oracle or something like that. And you're basically trying to get 2 Dark Templars out as fast as you possibly can. If the opponent doesn't get detection by then, it's pretty much a free win for you. And even if they have detection or detection is on the way, you can pick off a couple of probes and kind of try to run away with DTs if you can. If not, you just try to trade them out for as many workers as possible. Now, I wanted to show you this game because the game doesn't go as smooth, you know, where I just run in with DTs and your opponent leaves. In this game, the opponent had detection, but I just wanted to show how you can still win straight off of that by following it up with a very strong 4-gate and just try to finish the game from then on. My favorite transition is the 4-gate, and the reason for that is if you manage to do some damage, whether it's killing a couple of sentries or like 10, 15, or 5, 10 probes, the opponent will be trying to rebuild their economy, and as they're trying to do that, you hit with your 4-gate stalker right after that, and you manage to grab the win, hopefully. This is something that, like I said, it's going to give you a lot of free wins, so just go ahead and give it a try. The 9th game and the 3rd Protoss vs Protoss cheese that I'll be showing you guys is something that came with Heart of the Swarm, which is the Proxy Stargate Oracle. This is a strategy that basically relies on you doing a Proxy Stargate very quickly in a PvP, preferably as close to their main base as possible. chrono boosting 1 or 2 oracles depending on how much you want to commit, and just suiciding the oracles into the probes. It kind of follows the same pattern as Dark Templar Rush. You want to get in there, do as much probe damage as you can, and then just follow it up with a very strong 4-gate all in, and just kind of kill your opponent as they're rebuilding their probes. Now in this game I go for a very early sentry, and the reason for that is so I can hallucinate Phoenix and try to scout what my opponent is doing. So in case you see that the opponent is going for Dark Templars, you can throw down a Robo back into your base or a Forge in order to defend it. But after that, you're good to go and try to finish your opponent. That's pretty much it. Let's get into the last game, game number 10 of this video. I saved best for last. This is probably the best Protoss versus Protoss cheese / build you can do in Legacy of the Void in the current meta. It is the 3-gate Robo all-in. Basically, the goal of this build is to get your, open with double gates, double gas, pretty much a standard PvP opener. You'll try to get your Robo facility as fast as you can. You can go for Sentry for that hallucination. Once again, like I did show you in the previous game, but you can also just continuously make Stalkers 2 at a time from your gateways. Get that Robo, like I said, get the 3rd gate. You want to chrono boost your warp gate, chrono boost the warp prism across the map. And the reason why you're doing 3 gates, by the way, is because you want to be warping in Stalkers constantly, and just get a 2nd prism in case you lose the first one, and because you're not using the 4th gate, you will have enough minerals to do that. Now, when you do push with the 3-gate and a warp prism, basically it's a better version of Blink Stalker all in, because you can hit a lot earlier. You don't need to wait for Twilight Council and Blink to finish, and you can use your warp prism to micro your Stalkers as you're pushing your opponent and kind of try to finish the opponent as fast as you possibly can. The reason why this build is also super popular is because you're opening with Robo, you're also going to have observers, so in case your opponent goes for Dark Templars, you will be absolutely fine, and you're probably going to get an even easier win because of that. They invested a lot of economy into that cheese. And if the opponent is going for Stargate, you can just get a shield battery in your mineral line, plus you're opening Stalkers, which you'll be able to defend the oracles quite easy. And that's pretty much it. That was the last game. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on all of these cheeses. What is your favorite cheese? Is it in this list? Is it not? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's enough interest, I'll be making a Terran version of this as well. The top 10 Terran cheeses in Legacy of the Void. That's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a great time with this video. I hope you learned something new today. And I'll see you guys next time.